Coming up on Sports Paws, men's hockey tasted defeat for just the second time this season on a road trip to St. Lawrence.
And John, Q30's own Paul Caracciolo joins Quinnipiac women's ice hockey freshman Melissa Samoskevich for this week's edition of Meet the Bobcats.
Plus, we put it on the pine to talk about the women's basketball team's exciting weekend on Lender Court.
And do not forget, we will give out our prestigious Bobcat of the Week Award. Live from SC 125, better known as the Media Suite, Sports Paws starts right now.
Welcome into another episode of Sports Paws, folks. Alongside the one and only MJ Baird, I'm John Franklin and MJ. That's a mighty nice bow tie you have on, taking some of my style.
That's right, John.
Now let's talk about the women's hockey team took to the ice to prove its ECAC record is no joke.
That's right, John. Women's hockey welcomed Clarkson to town this weekend, but first, let's start with some history. 3 years ago, the Bobcats traveled north to Clarkson in the first round of the ECAC playoffs and suffered a 6-0 loss to the Golden Knights. Clarkson went on to beat Minnesota and win the national championship that year here in Hamden, as Quinnipiac hosted the national championship that year. Since then, the Bobcats sport a 4-0 record against Clarkson coming into this past weekend. Will the Bobcats prevail for their fifth straight against Clarkson, or will the Golden Knights turn the tides in their favor? Let's find out. Roll the tape. So let's head up to High Point Solutions Arena for this game. John, not to mention the number 1 and number 2 teams in the ECAC at the time. We'll head to the first period now. Emma Woods will score here. Nice little drop pass from TT Cianferrano, and Woods tucks that one in. 1-0 Quinnipiac. A little while later now, Emma Woods again down the right side, and check out this passing lane she develops to Melissa Samoskevich, but Samoskevich just wide to the outside. It's still 1-0 Quinnipiac. Later in the second now, Clarkson rips a shot that goes off the post behind Cindy Rossman. She can't find it, but still 1-0. And you know what, John? What kind of cheese do you like?
I like myself some cheddar.
You know what, John? So does Lauren Gable. Top cheddar on that breakaway. That's her 15th of the season. We have a tie game, 1-1. 8 minutes into the third now. Clarkson's Renata Fast goes off for body checking, so that means a Bobcats power play. And guess what? Emma Woods finds Melissa Samoskevich on the back door. 2-1 Bobcats. That's Samoskevich's first of the game. Later in the third now, Cindy Russo on defending a 2-on-1. Great defense there, lays out. Puck goes up in the air, drops right down on the lap of Cindy Rossman. But check out this, Kaylee Mercer. What a goal here. This is an absolute snipe. Check this one out again in slow motion. Mercer ties the game with this goal. Look at that. Check out the circle there. Bar, south, back, pipe, and down. You know, I was in the press box calling that game, John. Couldn't even tell from up there. The refs do check that, but it is standing for a goal. So, John, we're headed to overtime. And Kaylee Mercer, another shot here, but saved by Rossman, and that's the way the game will end, 2-2. Here's Cassandra Turner, post-game.
I'm really proud of the effort that our team put in today. They were willing to make plays, to block shots, to pick up sticks. It was a tough battle and exactly the type of hockey game you want to be in at this point in the year against a good hockey team leading into the postseason.
The women's hockey team also took on St. Lawrence this week. The game was all Bobcats as they netted a goal in each period to take home the 3-0 win. Melissa Samoskevich buried the first goal for the Bobcats in the first period. In the second stanza, Nicole Brown had the second goal for Quinnipiac, and Emma Woods put home an empty netter to put the nail in the coffin. Cindy Rossman had 25 saves for the Bobcats in a shutout effort. St. Lawrence only had 3 shots in the final period. The Bobcats have just 2 games left on the season. So after the big weekend and the playoffs just around the corner, let's take a look at the current ECAC standings. Quinnipiac remains atop the conference after notching wins against Clarkson and St. Lawrence. Clarkson, Colgate, Princeton, and Harvard are all close behind the Bobcats with just 2 games left in the regular season.
John, it's Monday, and you know what that means. Another week of the pairwise rankings have been released by the USCHO. Cassandra Turner's Bobcats come in at number 4 this week in both the pairwise and in RPI. Boston College takes home the top spot, followed by Wisconsin at 2, Minnesota at number 3. Coming in just below Quinnipiac is Clarkson, rounding out the top 5 for the week. Switching to the men's side now, Rand Pecknold and his men's hockey team ventured to upstate New York this weekend. The first of the weekend double came on Friday in Canton against the Saints of St. Lawrence. Sam Anish scored for the Bobcats his 21st of the season. That tally extends Annis's point streak to 11 games. Michael Laidley netted 2 past Gartig, and teammate Gavin Bayruther also scored a power play goal for St. Lawrence. It did take an extra frame, for the two to settle this one, though. Brian Ward scored just under 2 minutes into overtime to give St. Lawrence the win and hand Quinnipiac only its second loss on the season and only the first loss in the ECAC. Here's a clip from a fan at the game. The video shows the post-game antics between the two teams following Ward's overtime winner. The teams join at center ice, but do not shake hands. Bobcats head coach Rand Pecknold said in his post-game press conference, quote, "I am not allowed to comment on officiating, so I've got no comment because I don't want to get myself in trouble," end quote.
The men's team also traveled to Clarkson this weekend. Let's take it to the tape and check out what happened. Here it is, Quinnipiac traveling to Clarkson. They're on the road. Let's kick it. First period, let's see what happens. Now early on, little trouble. James DeHaas, he's going to trip up Travis St. Dennis. That's going to set up the penalty shot. St. Dennis up the ice, Deeks right, goes left, kick save, and a butte by Greg Lewis. That would keep the game tied, 0-0. And here's a pop-up, infield fly, Michael Garteg's going to make the stop. Later on, second period, A.J. Fossen, he's going to have the breakaway on Garteg, but that's easy stuff for the Hobie Baker nominee. Now later on, Scott Davison, he's up the right side. He's going for Chase Prisky. He puts it just wide. Game remains tied at 0. Now here it is, folks, the first one of the game. Off the pillows, Prisky at the doorstep, 1-0 Bobcats.
John, we might see that one again.
Absolutely will, MJ. Now here's Clarkson, drop-off pass, Garteg, game knotted up at ones. Third period, Clarkson's going to get the early upper hand after a giveaway over the right shoulder of Garteg. Too easy, 2-1, Clarkson. Later on, Quinnipiac on the puck. Here's St. Dennis, favorite spot, one-timer, 2-2. Let's take it, free hockey. Overtime, here's Devon Taves. It's going to sneak in. Quinnipiac gets the win, 3-2. With 4 games left on the calendar before the playoff season, the Bobcats are still #1 in the ECAC after the 2 road matchups this past week. Looking at the rest of the conference standings, the Yale Bulldogs are just 5 points behind the Bobcats, and the Harvard Crimson are just 7 points back.
John, let's jump from the ECAC to the nation at large as the pairwise rankings have been released for the men. The Bobcats retain their #1 position, followed by St. Cloud State at 2, North Dakota at 3, Boston College at 4, and Providence College rounding out the top 5. As for the RPI standings, though, St. Cloud State overtakes the Bobcats to grab the #1 spot.
Now we would like to welcome in Quinnipiac men's ice hockey beat reporter Andrew Badillo into the studio. Andrew, thanks for coming.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys. Always a pleasure.
Andrew, first question for you. Was the Quinnipiac men's ice hockey loss versus St. Lawrence this past weekend good for Quinnipiac, bad for Quinnipiac? What are your thoughts?
Well, MJ, it's funny you asked that question because I feel like me and you have had some heated debates about this in the past. Am I right?
You're right.
Yeah. So I thought that they should have lost against Maine. It was a tough game for Quinnipiac. They eventually came back to tie 3-3. But yes, I do think it's good that they lost to St. Lawrence. And MJ, John, here is why. So Providence, last year's national championship winner, they went 5-2-1 in February. Union, 7-0-1 in February. They did not lose again all season after a 2-1 loss to St. Lawrence on January 31st. They lost on January 31st. February is a big month for this team, and I think for them to get woken up in it is a very good thing before they head into playoff time in March. Teams really get hot at the end. Teams that really get hot at the end do well in the NCAA tournament. Quinnipiac has struggled in tournaments, postseason tournaments, in its program's history. It hasn't won the ACAC tournament, and we all know what happened a few years ago against the LA National Tournament.
Now, Andrew, what aspect of the game does the team have to improve on the most in order to make a postseason run?
Well, John, it's got to be the defense. Michael Gartig has been a rock in goal all year, and he's really had a tough time lately, sort of keeping the puck out of the net, but it's not his fault. It's the defense, and also the forwards forechecking, are coming back, picking up the forwards in the offensive zone. You see it countless times. Players are open in front of Michael Gartig. Defensemen aren't picking up sticks, aren't clearing rebounds, and those players are putting it right past Gartig. I think this weekend you saw it in the Clarkson and St. Lawrence games. There were plenty of opportunities for Clarkson and St. Lawrence players to get in alone on Gartig and put the puck past them. In the Clarkson game, both their goals were on 1-on-0 opportunities. So it's really tough for him to sort of make all those great saves. And honestly, guys, he's won them a lot of games this year. You saw it back in November against Clarkson and St. Lawrence. He made some unbelievable saves in those games. I was watching from the press box. I was in awe because I've been watching him grow these past 3 years, and this year he has been outstanding for this team.
Andrew, you said it right there. The defense needs to improve, but ultimately, who is more important down the stretch for this team? Is it the goalie, Michael Gartig, or the goal-scoring forward, Sam Annis?
Sam Annis has had an incredible year this year. It's a shame that he isn't a Hobie Baker candidate. Michael Gartig is. I think it's Gartig who's more important to this team. The defense, I don't see them fixing their problems that they've had all year, so it's going to be up to Gartig. They'll go as far as he takes them. Sam Annis, he's been great all year, but there are other players capable of scoring. Travis St. Dennis has been great this year. Tim Clifton has come out of nowhere. He has a lot of points this year. Landon Smith has also continued. He's avoided the sophomore slump. So I think they have enough on offense in those top 3 lines. And even on the 4th line, Tim Clifton is on that 4th line this year. They have enough on offense to get it done. I think it's going to be up to Gartig.
Now, Andrew, what do you think the team has to do to beat RPI and Union this weekend?
Well, RPI is a tricky team, John. They're really good on defense. Jason Kasdorf is one of the best goalies in the ECAC. He has a 2.09 goals against average and a .937 save percentage. So it's really going to come down to scoring first against RPI and also against Union. Union has really struggled the past few games, taking bad penalties and giving up untimely power play goals, essentially. They've had a tough year. So I think for Quinnipiac, it's going to be drawing penalties against Union, converting on the power play. And against RPI, it's going to be breaking Jason Kasdorf and scoring first. Last time against RPI, the RPI scored twice, and they came back late and tied the game at 2. Sam Annis netted a goal with under 10 seconds left to send it to overtime. Came out of that one with the tie. So I think it's just going to come down to those keys for this weekend.
Andrew, thanks for coming in and talking men's hockey with us.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Coming up on Sports Paws, executive producer Paul Caracciolo sits down with freshman hockey standout Melissa Samoskevich for this semester's first edition of Meet the Bobcats.
Plus, John, Trisha Fabries and the women's basketball team had a big weekend. The Bobcats hosted the MAC leading Iona and traveled to St. Peter's. We'll let you know how they fared. Don't move. We will be right back.
The freshmen this year have stepped in and really just eliminated that problem, doing the right plays at the right time.
I mean, it certainly seems like an uphill battle for this team, but Trisha Fabby is one of the best coaches at this university.
Bobcats hosting Arizona State. We'll start with this power play.
But she's strong. Good Lord, I saw her lifting one time. She could squat 3 of me. Like,
Oh, well, 7 of me then.
Good evening and welcome to Sports Paws.
In the end, we're here to win a championship this year.
Jess Fontaine now has that. She's going to take a ripper off the post, but she's going to come back.
And my number 1, hold your applause, Bobcats fans, is Quinnipiac.
All right, Victoria, you know what time it is. It's top 5 plays of the week.
My favorite time.
Welcome back to Studio 125. Our own Paul Caracciolo got to talk to Melissa Samoskevich about her life outside of High Point Solutions Arena.
All right, I'm joined here by women's hockey freshman standout Melissa Samoskevich. Melissa, how you doing today?
Good, how are you?
Now, usually Meet the Bobcats, we do athletes who come from far away, and it's a little bit of a different story from you. You're about 45 minutes west from Sandy Hook.
Yep.
Now, obviously, when you were choosing colleges, you had big name offers. You had offers from Minnesota, Wisconsin, who are perennial powerhouses in women's hockey. Now, what was kind of the decision-making process when coming to Quinnipiac?
Definitely, I wanted to look everywhere. I think definitely just the feel I got when I stepped on campus. I knew that this was the place to be, and yeah, it just felt like home.
Now, I mean, obviously the horrible tragedies that happened years ago at Sandy Hook, you being in Minnesota at the time, I mean, location being so close to home, that was a big factor for you?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, it kind of sucks, you know, just
Absolutely, yeah.
things that happen like that out of nowhere. But yeah, being close to home is definitely important.
Yeah, like what is like being so close? Like what does that do for you? Like knowing that they're so, do you like you see your family more often?
Yeah, actually a lot of my family come to the games. Usually we fill up a big part of a section. Yeah, I mean, it's just really great to see them in the stands. You know, they never really got to watch me play, especially my aunts and uncles. So yeah.
And I mean, obviously being hard. I mean, you played high school hockey in Minnesota. I mean, having the option to stay there. Now, I mean, what does it do? I mean, your family obviously didn't get, like as you said, didn't get you to see high school hockey. I mean, what does it mean for them really to come here and see you? Because I mean, they haven't seen you play in like a long time.
Yeah, I mean, it means a lot. They haven't really been like my aunts and uncles. Like obviously my mom, dad, brother, and sister have always been like on top of what I'm doing with hockey. But now my aunts and uncles, they're all about posting on Facebook and just like they're really involved, and it's awesome to get to see them like super excited about it. It just kind of like it gives me like a drive, you know, to like do it for them. So yeah.
We can backpedal a little bit. When you were in high school, I mean, when you heard about the horrible things that happened, you had a game to play that night. I mean, can you talk me through like what was going through your mind if you you still wanted to go through and play the game?
Right. Yeah. I mean, I was on the bus going to Chicago, and I found out. It was at first I didn't really know how big of a deal it was. I knew it was in Newtown, but we got to the hotel that afternoon, and it was on every TV, every channel almost. Like it was just crazy, and you know the numbers just kept going up and up for the deaths. So it was really hard just to like kind of take that all in. You know, even now like it's hard to take in. So, but yeah, like when came game time, I'm just like I have to play. Like I can't sit out of a game. But yeah, I thought just to play for them, you know, play for Sandy Hook, and you know we came out with a win that night. So
a big motivation, obviously.
Yeah.
When you play here, I mean, like you said, your family gets to come. It was a big deal. You always go out. I mean, do you always have that in the back of your head, like you're playing for family, you're real close to home, they're in the stands, like getting to watch you? Like that really gives you that big drive pre and post game and during?
Absolutely. Every game, you know, I see them in the stands. No matter if it's just my parents can't make it, they go to my brother and sister's game. So if it's just like an uncle or like one of my brothers in the stand, like, you know, it just like reminds me that, you know, I'm doing this for a reason, and without them, I wouldn't be here.
Yeah. Now, I mean, you being so close, do you ever get to go home and like sleep in your own bed for a night, get that home cooked meal?
Yeah, absolutely. Usually on like a Saturday night, I'll go home after like a long road trip.
Yeah.
Even if it's like 1 a.m., I'll drive home. But yeah, it's just good to spend a Sunday at home. I spent Super Bowl Sunday there, so it was fun.
It's good to you know, relax everything. All right. Well, thank you for coming down. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Now, MJ, let's take it from the ice to the hardwood, where Iona came to town to take on the Quinnipiac Bobcats women's basketball team. Let's see how they fared. First quarter, Marina Lizarazu of Iona, she's from Spain, behind the back, cheeky three-pointer. Iona leads 14-10. Later in the first, that's another three. Alexis Lewis, Iona leads 19-12 at the end of the first. Let's take it all the way to the third quarter, where Lizarazu, she's going to go through the middle, scoop, score with the left hand. Iona leads 46-41. But now Aaron McClure says, let's go strong in the paint. Iona only leads by 3. Now, fourth quarter, Stromene kicks it to Schuin, outside Martucci, splash! Iona still leads in the game though. Now a little later in the game, Aaron McClure, she's in the post, she makes a move, and don't mind if I do with the contact, and one, she would make the free throw. TU now down by 3 here. Here's the dish. Fabry wants to know, have you ever seen the rain? That's a three-pointer. Now a little later on in the game, Felicia Gilmore is going to pass out to Lizarazu, leaves it hanging, hits the 3. Quinnipiac just down. Here's a drive with contact. McClure off the glass. Quinnipiac still down in the game. Let's listen in to Trisha Fabry.
That's the three-point line. And no easy twos. No easy twos. Just need 1, 2, 3.
That timeout would prove to be enough as Iona here misses the shot. Rebound Martucci. She gets fouled, goes to the floor. Quinnipiac would win the game 62-61.
John, you know, great camera angle there from Q30 Sports. I think they should look into using that more often, huh?
Absolutely. Kyle Lavasser, great job right there, buddy.
Anyway, John, after knocking off top-seeded Iona at home, the Bobcats traveled down to Jersey City to tip off against St. Peter's. 3 Bobcats found double figures in the game. Maria Napolitano and Aaron McClure each had 14 points, while Adelie Martucci tallied 13 of her own. The 3 led the Bobcats to a 65-53 win. The win improves the Bobcats' record to 12-3 in the MAC and extends their winning streak to 12 games. Looking at the MAC at large, Quinnipiac currently sits at second behind Iona. Quinnipiac welcomes Marist to Lender Court on Thursday, where the Bobcats are 7-1 at home this season. The game will be crucial in determining the fate of the MAC the rest of the way. And the Red Foxes sit third in the MAC, only 1 spot behind the Bobcats. Fairfield and Manhattan round out the top 5 in the conference. Sports Paws would now like to welcome women's basketball beat reporter Josh Silverman on set. Josh, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, guys.
So Josh, the Bobcats are winners of 12 straight now. What in your mind was the biggest turning point this season?
Well, for me, I would have to say when Quinnipiac faced Florida Gulf Coast on December 28th, they were down 8 points in that game at halftime. They needed someone to step up, and that person was Adelie Martucci. She hit 3 three-pointers in the second half that helped spark the comeback. The Bobcats unfortunately lost that game by 1 point in overtime, and then the next game lost to Monmouth by 3 points. But since then, they've been red hot, winning 12 in a row. Their defense has been outstanding, holding Iona to 61 points and Siena to 52. The chemistry on this team has been so much better. You can see they just know where the other player is going to be. And lastly, they're just having fun while they're playing. Against Manhattan earlier in the season, they lost by 10 points, and they weren't happy. Against Iona, there were smiles all around the court, and they were just happy to be there.
Josh, very good observation, but who are the players on this Quinnipiac team that, in your mind, have really turned this team around this season?
Well, MJ, I've been saying it all year. It's the freshmen, Aaron McClure and Paula Starmain. They have dominated from down low. The two combined for more than half the points against Iona. That was huge. Paula Starmain has won 2 MAC Rookie of the Week players, while Aaron McClure has brought home her 4 Rookie of the Week honors. That is the most in the MAC, and Quinnipiac as a team has won 5 straight Rookie of the Week honors. Not to be forgotten is freshman Brittany Martin, who has not had the flashy stats so far this year, but against Iona she had a pivotal 3 that helped turn around that game. Lastly, the leadership of senior Maria Napolitano, sophomore Carly Fabry, and junior Morgan Mance have helped contribute to this team's success.
Josh, what team in your mind is the biggest threat for the Bobcats?
Well, for me, John, it's got to be Iona. They are the powerhouse in the MAC, and honestly, I think they're still the team to beat, even though Quinnipiac beat them. They're older, they're more experienced, they have great players like Joy Adams, and I think they could give the Bobcats trouble. I think they will meet the Bobcats in the MAC finals, and I think that will be a great game to watch. A sneaky play is Marist. As you mentioned, they do come to play Quinnipiac in Lender Court on Thursday. Marist is a good team. They beat Quinnipiac earlier in the year by 9 points, but the Quinnipiac team now is much different than the team that Marist faced on December 3rd.
Josh, you just said it there, Iona. The Bobcats welcomed the MAC-leading Iona team to Hamden and beat them after coming from behind late in the game. How big was this win truly for Trisha Fabry's team?
It was huge. To come back and beat not only the best team in the conference, but any team is huge in the second half. They were down 6 points, and it's a big boost for this team. They really needed to prove that they can beat the best team, and now they have. Tom Moore said it about his team earlier in the year, but it's fitting for the women's team now that now they need to go into the tournament knowing that they can do something. They now know that if they fall behind against any team, let alone Iona, that they can beat that team. Since Quinnipiac beat Iona, regardless of what happens when the two teams meet again on February 28th, Quinnipiac now knows that they can win.
Josh, thanks for the insight. It's always a pleasure.
Thanks for having me, guys.
So, John, we talked all things women's basketball, but the men did play this weekend, too. Tom Moore's team hosted Fairfield on Friday night, trying to put a halt to its 2-game losing skid. Could the Bobcats right the ship?
And MJ, get ready to count them down, because the top 5 plays are just around the corner. Don't move from the spot you're in. Sports Paws comes back right after this.
This week's trending topic is #that. We are your source for Quinnipiac entertainment news.
Thanks for sticking with us here on Sports Paws. The men's basketball team played tonight at Iona. Fresh off the end of the game, Sports Paws has you covered. Iona defeats the Bobcats 78-59. Iona outscoring the Bobcats 41-25 in the second half. That bumps the Bobcats record to 8-17, 5-11 in the MAC. Bobcats faced their fourth straight loss. Notable for the Bobcats, Chase Daniels 12 points, 7 rebounds. Bobcats back in action Thursday versus St. Peter's. So, the men's basketball team traveled to Manhattan this past weekend. John, tell us what you got.
Well, MJ, that's right. The men's basketball team hit the buses for a road trip to Riverdale, New York to take on Manhattan. The Bobcats entered the second half up 9 points. Daniel Harris and Abdullah Bundu led the Bobcats in the first with 10 points apiece. Manhattan quickly overcame the 9-point deficit after shooting just over 70% from the field in the second half. The Jaspers would go on to take the game 84-77. This weekend, the acrobatics and tumbling team kicked off its season with a home matchup against top-ranked Baylor. Baylor's new coach, Felicia Mulkey, made her debut for the Bears after spending the beginning of her career coaching the national powerhouse Oregon Ducks. The matchup remained close throughout as the Bobcats tried to keep pace with the Bears but could not overcome the deficit. The Baylor would go on to win the matchup 286.96 to 280.7.
John, Quinnipiac women's tennis trekked 3 miles down the road to North Haven to host the Binghamton Bearcats. The Bobcats fell 4-3 to the Bearcats Saturday night at the North Haven Health and Racket Club. Senior Sophia Dyslinski picked up 2 wins in the match, passing the 90-win mark for her career. The team resumed action on February 21st in New Jersey to take on Seton Hall.
The women's track team put on a performance to remember this weekend at the Valentine's Day Invitational. At Boston University, Kaylee Roberts, Tracy Campbell, and Bonnie Piscocha each broke program records for the Bobcats. The next event for the Bobcats, a trip to the Armory in New York City for the MAC Championships.
Well, John, another week in Bobcats sports means another member of the Quinnipiac athletic community to be awarded with our illustrious Bobcat of the Week award. This week's award goes to a member of the men's basketball team. In the double overtime thriller on Saturday, this Bobcat scored a career-high 28 points, shot 11 of 17 from the floor, and added 8 rebounds to his line. He also posted the most points of any Quinnipiac player in a game this season. This week's Bobcat of the Week award goes to Chase Daniels. And John, I think we have to go back. We did miss the Bobcats highlight against the game against Fairfield, so let's go back and catch up on that real quick. Up at Lender Court, as I said, Fairfield and Quinnipiac. Great game on our hands here, John. This might be a long one. Get ready. So, first half now, Curtis Cobb. Check out this. He steals the pass. Goes the other way. That's a free 2 points for Fairfield. They're leading 11-10. Later in the first half now, Daniel Harris. Check out his court vision. Fairfield tries to go cross court. He says nope. Goes the other way, coast to coast. He steals that. Another free 2 for the Bobcats this time. Bobcats lead 19-16. Second half now. Check out this from Jonathan Casababu. I think he works for the post office. You know why, John? Return to sender, address unknown. Fairfield doesn't convert on that play, but wow, what a block there, huh? Later in the second half now, Quinnipiac unable to capitalize on this Fairfield turnover. Aaron Hutton's going to take it, comes all the way down the right side. Looks like he's got a nice layup, but no, misses that. Joe McLean, same thing. And lastly, Abdullah Bundu, no. Come on, man, you got to make those layups.
The fundamentals, fellas.
John, let's head to overtime. Danny Harris hits 3 free throws at the end of regulation to force overtime, and here he is in overtime now. Big three-pointer there. That gives the Bobcats a 75-74 lead. But John, get this. That is not enough. We're headed to double overtime in this game up at Lender Court. Fairfield going to hold on to this ball, try to get the last shot in. Drive in the lane here. Looks like they might get a layup, but no. Kicks for 3 to win the game. No, that's a miss. But, John, you know, when you get your offensive rebounds like that, the and one on the lay-in, that'll seal the deal for you. Here's Daniel Harris after the game.
You just got to win. I mean, this league is so close. You know, from 1 to 10, you know, anybody can get beat any night. You know, if you play hard, you know, you always have a chance. We know how good we are. We know we're capable of winning games. And, you know, we just got to get on a roll. You know, we're still playing for Albany. That's the end goal. Get 4 games, 3 games, however, you know, in Albany and make it to the NCAA tournament. That goal hasn't changed. You know, even though we're starting off slow, we're not having the year we want. I mean, it still is a lot of basketball to be played.
MJ, you know what time it is?
As a matter of fact, John, I do. It is time for the top 5 plays of the week, brought to you by Q30 Sports.
Well, MJ, here we go. Let's kick it off. Number 5, brought to you by who you brought up earlier, Chase Daniels, Bobcat of the Week. He's in the paint. He's going to say, I'm going to do the spin, go hard, take it easy. That's 2 of his 28 points on the day.
Wow, 28. Definitely deserving of that award, John. Women's hockey versus Clarkson now. Emma Woods, you saw this at the very beginning of the show. Nice snipe there. Quinnipiac and Clarkson end up tying it 2, but great goal there from Emma.
Another one you saw earlier at number 3, Andrew Tavener. He's going to put it off the pillows, at the doorstep, clean it up, Chase Prisky. Why don't you? That's a goal.
Number 2 play, John. Check out the penalty shot we saw from Travis St. Dennis. He doesn't convert, but let's just talk about this save from Greg Lewis. Great instincts there. And, John, what's the number 1 play of the week?
Well, you know you brought up Cheddar. Well, I like Swiss. Here's Lauren Gable, makes Sydney Rossman look like it. What a shot. What a game for her.
Well, John, you know, another 30 minutes in the books means another episode of Sports Paws comes to a close.
I could have not put it better myself, my friend. Don't forget to check us out on Twitter at Q30 Sports.
And as always, you can find all our content online at www.q30television.com.
For all of us here at Q30 Sports and for the Sports Paws team, he's MJ Baird. I'm John Franklin. Thanks for stopping by, and stay beautiful, Bobcat Nation.